Chapter 6. Then Darius the king made a decree, and search was made in the house of the archives, where the treasures were laid up in Babylon. And there was found at Achmetah, in the palace, that is, in the province of Media, a roll, and therein was thus written a record. In the first year of Cyrus the king made a decree concerning the house of God at Jerusalem. Let the house be builded, the place where they offer sacrifices, and let the foundations thereof be strongly laid. The height thereof 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 60 cubits, with 3 rows of great stones, and a row of new timber. And let the expenses be given out of the king's house. And also let the gold and the silver vessels of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took forth out of the temple, which is at Jerusalem, and brought unto Babylon, be restored, and brought back unto the temple which is at Jerusalem, every one to its place, and you shall put them in the house of God. Now therefore, Tattenai, governor beyond the river, and Shethar-Bozenai, and your companions the Arpharisaki, who are beyond the river, be you far from there. Let the work of the house of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews build the house of God in its place. Moreover, I make a decree concerning what you shall do to these elders of the Jews for the building of the house of God, that of the king's goods, even of the tribute beyond the river, expenses be given with all diligence unto these men, that they may be not hindered. And that which they have need of, both young bullocks and rams and lambs for the burnt offering to the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the word of the priests that are at Jerusalem, let it be given them day by day without fail, that they may offer sacrifices of sweet savor unto the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king and of his sons. Also I have made a decree that whosoever shall alter this word, let a beam be pulled out of his house, and let him be lifted up and fastened thereon, and let his house be made a dunghill for this. And may the God that hath caused his name to dwell there overthrow all kings and peoples that shall put forth their hand to alter the same, to destroy this house of God which is at Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree, let it be done with all diligence. Then Tattenai, the governor beyond the river, and Shethar-Bozenai and their companions, because that Darius the king had thus sent, acted with all diligence. And the elders of the Jews builded and prospered through the prophesying of Haggai and the prophet Zechariah, the son of Iddo, and they builded and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the decree of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month, Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. And the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites, and the rest of the children of captivity, kept the dedication of this house of God with joy. And they offered at the dedication of the house of God 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for all Israel 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And they set the priests in their divisions, and the Levites in their courses, for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the 1st month. For the priests and the Levites had purified themselves together. All of them were pure. And they killed the Passover lamb for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren the priests, and for themselves. And the children of Israel that were come back out of the captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the nations of the land, to seek the Lord, the God of Israel, did eat. And they kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy, for the Lord had made them joyful, and had turned the heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. We will remember yesterday the Haggai and Zechariah would be the ones that would be prophesying during this period. And this is where there was a little slack time where the house of God had the work on it had kind of slowed down because of the oppression of all those nations that were around them. But they had, by the prophets, started back working with great diligence on the house of God, and once again had caused some attention to be raised in the area to themselves. And we'll see once again. This time it's Tatanai and Shethar Bazanai. They come with the Arpharisaki and to cause trouble. And we'll find the Jews tell them Cyrus, the great king of Babylon, he is the one who made the decree to establish this house. And at that period of time, Cyrus was very well known. He was the one who established the great Persian Empire. Cyrus was the great king of Persia. But we'll find out they send to Darius a letter, and Darius does make a search in the archives, and that's where we'll pick it up in verse 1. Then Darius the king made a decree, and search was made in the house of archives, where the treasures were laid up in Babylon. So the letter comes to Darius, and Darius does make a search. He makes a decree, and a search was made, and they search out the archives, the house of the archives. This is the place where they kept all the written words, the laws, and the decrees of the kings. These were the treasures that were laid up in Babylon, or even in confusion, too. And there was found at Akhmatah, in the palace that is in the province of Media, a roll, and therein was written a record. And the record was searched out and found. It was in Akhmatah. And Akhmatah is a city also called Ekbatana. It is in Iran. And this would have been in the province of Media at that time. These would be the Medes who would be with the Persians. This record was found that Cyrus had written 3. In the first year of Cyrus the king made a decree concerning the house of God at Jerusalem. The house be builded, the place where they offer sacrifices, and let the foundations thereof be strongly laid, the height thereof 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 80 cubits. And it would be in the first year of Cyrus. Cyrus would do this. That would be in that first year. The first is always the beginning of the greater understandings, even of Cyrus. Cyrus was the king of Persia, even. Cyrus is this one who possesses the furnace. Cyrus did make a decree, and we learned that earlier. This was documented in the last chapter of Chronicles, 2nd Chronicles. It was also documented in the first few chapters of Ezra. The decree that Cyrus made to go up, that they should lay the foundations and build the walls. And we'll find here that the height thereof was 80 cubits. That's for its determination, 80. A score is 20. 20 is redemption. 3 is to complete. The redemption was it measured out, and the breadth thereof also, because that we'll find that is what it was used for, to complete the redemption, and the measurings out of it. This would be of the judgments of God, with 3 rows of great stones and a row of new timber, and let the expenses be given out of the king's house. And it tells about the 3 rows. That's these 3 rows that complete the outlining even of the great stones. That's going to be the law of God. And a row of new timber. This is that which was gathered from the forest of those that exalted themselves even in the forest. These trees, those are the ones that exalt themselves to the point they make themselves big enough to be hewn down and used. That is the expenses that's given out of the king's house. And also let the gold and silver vessels of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took forth out of the temple, which is at Jerusalem, and brought into Babylon, be restored, and brought back unto the temple which is at Jerusalem, every one to its place, and you shall put them in the house of God. And also, we remember all these vessels, the number of them was given in the beginning of Ezra. They was given over to the hand of Sheshbazzar by Mithridates. These vessels out of the house of gold, these ones are out of the house of God, these vessels of gold and silver. That's all that which belongs to God anyway. That which they took from there, we'll find out. They're going to bring it back. These vessels, these things that contain, we'll find out even that which is the wrath of God, that which Nebuchadnezzar took forth out of the temple, that place where God put his name, it was in Jerusalem. That was the place of peaceful teachings that God had made an example of many times. Nebuchadnezzar, he is the prophet that protects the crown. He was the king of Babylon at that time, and he brought him unto Babylon. Babel is confusion, and Babylon is the place of it. He says, let these vessels be taken back and put in the house of God. 6. Now therefore, Tattenai, governor beyond the river, Shethar-Bozenai, and your companions, the Pharisaki, who are beyond the river, be you far from there. And Darius is basically telling Tattenai that gift, the governor beyond the river, he was the ruler even that from beyond the river. Those are the waters that descend. Shethar-Bozenai, that star of splendor, even that great understanding that comes from heaven. And your companions, these would be our Pharisaki, and these are the ones that they divide the deceptions. The deceptions are divided by them who are beyond the river, and that's those waters that descend, even the true understanding. 7. Let the work of the house of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews build the house of God in its place. And let this work, this thing that these men are doing, this work that they're doing for the house of God to reestablish the house of God, let it alone, leave it alone, get away from there, is basically what Darius was telling them. And moreover, 8, I make a decree concerning what you shall do to these elders of the Jews for the building of this house of God, that of the king's goods, even of the tribute beyond the river, expenses be given with all diligence unto these men, that they be not hindered. Moreover, we'll find that Darius makes this decree. Darius is the Lord. Darius means Lord. Concerning these that was causing the Jews trouble. Jews are those of Judah. It is those of Judah. Those are praisings. That of the king's goods, that tribute, that tax that the king had put on all those beyond the river, he's going to take that and give expenses, we'll find out, to those that are building the house of God, so that it shouldn't be hindered. And he's going to cause these men that was causing all the trouble now to pay tribute, we'll find out, right to the Jews, these ones that are building the house of God. 9. And that which they have need of, both young bullocks and rams and lambs for burnt offerings to the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the word of the priests that are at Jerusalem, let it be given them day by day without fail. And that which they have need of, all the things that they will have need, this would be the substances, both these young bullocks, rams, lambs, these things for burnt offerings. We know what these young bullocks are. These are the young bull calves, these bullocks, these ones that are to be slaughtered. They're not to be used to expand the herd. These are these ones who represent that which can get out and cause damage. And rams, these rams are these ones that exalt themselves over the lesser cattle, even through these horns, their twistings. And these lambs, these are those. Lambs is always those that can be led easily. Those that can be led easily for burnt offerings. And these are that's that which passes through the fire and makes atonement to the God of heaven. And he is the God of all understanding. This wheat, salt, wine, oil, according to the word of the priest, according to that which is required by the law of Moses, actually, that these priests, these are ones that stand before God and do this at Jerusalem. That's that place of peaceful teachings. This wheat, that's that which comes from the harvest. The salt, that which is seasoned with. The wine which squeezed from the grape, and that oil that anoints. 10. That they may offer sacrifices of sweet savor unto the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king and his sons. That they may offer these sacrifices of sweet savor, these things that please the Lord, that holds back the wrath of God. See, that holds back his wrath, that keeps him in this peace covenant with humanity. This sweet savor, these sacrifices that they made, that held the judgment, we'll find out, of God, and pray for the life of the king and of his sons. These ones he even required them to keep the law as well. 11. Also I have made a decree that whosoever shall alter this word, let a beam be pulled out from his house, let him be lifted up and fastened thereon, and let his house be made a dunghill for this. And anybody who alters the decree, that which went forth from the king, anybody, let a beam be pulled out of his house, that which his house was built out of, that which his house was established by. Let him be lifted up and fastened thereon. Hanging on it is the same thing. And let his house be made a dunghill, that is brought to ruin. That is brought to ruin. 12. And may the God that hath caused his name to dwell there overthrow all kings and peoples that shall put forth their hand to alter the same, to destroy this house of God which is at Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree, let it be done with all diligence. And may the God that caused his name to dwell there, we'll find out his name it's not God, it's the name, it's just that which represents God. When the name brings to our mind instantaneously these things we perceive God to be. This is what the name represents. Any nation, any king, all these people that shall put forth their hand or their works to alter the same, to destroy this house of God, that's that which God established for his name, that which he does in Jerusalem, that place of peaceful teachings. We'll find out, should be destroyed, and God does, see, because God rules the earth with the law, and the law goes forth, and in its same does both blessing and cursing. 13. Then Tattenai, the governor beyond the river, Shethar Bazanai, and their companions, because that Darius the king had thus sent, acted with all diligence. So we'll find out Tattenai, the governor, that's that gift, that one who was set over. The one he is beyond the river, the place of understandings that descend, and Shethar Bazanai, the star or the splendor, even the one, this understanding that comes from God, and all their companions. We'll find out these were the Pharisaki, because that Darius the king had sent this decree. They're going to move a little quicker in their path instead of trying to cause trouble. Now they will be helping. 14. And the elders of the Jews builded and prospered through the prophesying of Haggai, and the prophet, and Zechariah the son of Iddo, and they builded and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the decree of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. According to these three kings of Persia who prospered them, we'll find out the elders of the Jews, that's those of Judah, these were the ones in charge. They prospered through the prophesying, or this words, or this pouring out of Haggai. Haggai is this is the festive, or these ones that are in celebration, the prophet, that which is being poured out. And Zechariah, these are those that are remembered of God, the remembered of God. They are the ones that come forth from Iddo, that's his witness. They built and finished it according to the commandment of God of Israel. And this was that God brought them forth back out of these nations that he had sent them captive into, according to this decree of Cyrus. Cyrus is that possessor of the furnace, Darius the Lord, Artaxerxes, this one who stirs it up to cool off that which is boiling. These were the kings of Persia who prospered them, these kings of splendor. 15. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. And the house, that place that was established for the name of God, was finished on the 3rd day. And that 3rd day is to complete, even that portion that completes the understanding of the month of Adar. A month is a period of time. It's under the moon, that lesser light that God give to rule the darkness, even that month of Adar, that glorious month, that's what Adar is, which was the 6th year. 6th is the work of man, 6 days shall you do your work. 6th, even that portion of the greater understanding of the work of men, even in that reign of Darius the king, and Darius was the Lord 16. And the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity kept the dedication of the house of God with joy. And all the children of Israel, that's those that contended with the mighty one, the priest, those that stand before God, and those that joined, the Levites, all the rest of the children of captivity, because there was still a great captivity even at that time. See, only a portion of the children of Judah had come out of captivity. Many still remained. But we'll find out they kept the dedication of the house of God, 17, and they offered at that dedication of the house, of this house of God, 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for all Israel, 12 he-goats according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And they would offer, and this offering is that which makes atonement, it's that which makes atonement even at the dedication of the house of God. We'll find out, because it has been reestablished. God had destroyed it, these 100 bullocks, and that was for the judgment of the bullocks that which they got out to cause damage. These 200 rams, and to now witness these 200 rams, because it's also the judgment on the rams. These rams are those that exalt themselves over the lesser cattle with these twistings of the horns. 400 lambs, these, because it's the work of God, seeing judgment on the lambs as well. These are those that are led. And for the sin offering for all Israel, the sin offering is that which makes atonement for their sin. A sin is a transgression in the law of God. See, before the law there was no sin. We had nothing to define it, nothing to outline it, nothing to tell us what it was. But the law of God gives us the definition of sin, and to go against it is sin. And that's all the sin there is. There's the transgression or the trespass of the God of heaven. These 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And these 12 he-goats, that's understanding. See, when the law is witnessed, we have understanding in these he-goats. These he-goats is something that's offered because it's an offering of fear. It's an offering of the covering which God gives you, even in the beginning. And that's what it represents, according to the number of the tribes. Each one he-goat for each tribe, even the tribes of Israel. 18, and they set the priests in their divisions, and the Levites in their courses, for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. And they set the priests, those that stand before God, in their divisions, as God divided them even in the beginning. We'll find out this was a separation made even in the beginning. The Levites from the priests, these that join, even the Levites in their courses that do the work of the house of God for the service of God. Once again, with wrath and fierceness, and now partial joy and tears, we find that God once again has established his house as it is written, just like it's written in the book of Moses, just like he said he was going to do. 19, and the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. And we'll find out even all the children of captivity keep the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. And that's the day that the Passover is held, that beginning the evening thereof, that they would keep this Passover. And we'll find out that Passover is when the shadow of death passed over in Egypt. And there they put on their doorpost, we'll find out, this blood of that Passover meal, which this was replaced by the law when God commanded that the law be placed on your doorpost. This on the 14th day, because see, that's the work of God in the law, even that portion of understanding right there of that first month, even in the beginning of the lesser light. 20, for the priest and the Levites had purified themselves together. All of them were pure. They killed the Passover lamb for all the children of the captivity, and for the brethren, the priest, and for themselves. And these priests, these ones that stand before God, the Levites, that's the ones that join. They purified themselves together. And that's to sanctify yourself, set yourself aside for a purpose, for a work, a determination. See, all of them were pure. They had made themselves pure because it would be a requirement of the law to kill the Passover lamb. That's that which is going to make atonement. That's that offering for the children of the captivity, all those that are still in their captives, in their captivity. All their brethren, those ones of the same understanding that stand before God and themselves, 21, and the children of Israel that were come back out of the captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the nations of the land, to seek the Lord the God of Israel, did eat. And they did eat of this offering, even that lamb, that that is the offering of the Passover. They separate themselves from the nations, from the filthiness of the nations. These would be all those that come back from the captivity. They separated themselves from the filthiness of the nations, and the filthiness of the nations is a very simple thing. It's idolatry. See, idolatry, imagery, the imaginations of men, the understandings of them, not seeking the Lord, the God of Israel, who give you the law in the beginning for your own good. 22, and they kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy. For the Lord had made them joyful, and they had turned the heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of God, the God of Israel. And they would keep the feast of unleavened bread. This would be the festival that immediately follows the Passover, this feast of unleavened bread. That's where you remove the leavening from the bread, this which nourishes the body. This leavening is all the other mingled in teachings, the understandings that causes it to rise, that causes it to be filled. We'll find out with gas and air. This is the leavened bread. But the unleavened bread, that which represents the law in its purest form, this that nourishes the body and the soul together, 7 days with joy. Not just that which nourishes the soul, but that which nourishes the flesh. 7 days, and that's to accomplish the understandings, or to perfect the understandings with joy. For the Lord had made them joyful, and he had turned the heart, even the understandings of the king of Assyria. That is that Molech of the Asher, that one who they raised up to represent eternity unto them, to strengthen their hands, even to strengthen their works, and the work of the house of God, because we'll find out it was all the work of God. He is the God of Israel. Even those that contend with the mighty one. We'll be picking it up in chapter 7. Turn, return.